I understand that a lot of people will be coming into this video with trepidation because an adult man is about to talk about YA, and there has been a history of adult men coming in with uninformed, extremely negative takes on YA. That is not what this video is, or at least it is not at all what I intend it to be. This is not a hit piece on YA books. This is not me saying that YA is a bad genre in terms of the content of the books. That is not at all what this video is about. I just wanted to put that all up front. I'm Elle from the Whittle's Read, and welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk about YA books today, and the reason is this channel has been kind of an adventure for me in trying to expand my reading horizons. YA is a genre that loads of people on BookTube read. It is one of the favourite genres of my partner V. And I wanted to get into it, but the one thing she told me is, you know, the YA she reads is generally romance-centered, female protagonist-centered, and so it just might not be quite my thing. So I went to go off and do my own research. Now, I had some kind of definition of what YA was in my head, and the instant I did any form of research, that definition was completely blown out of the water. The thing that I did was what I always do, and I looked at the list of, you know, the best YA of all time. And the thing that shocked me was the books on that list, I already owned a lot of them. They already populated a lot of my shelf. And the thing that might shock some people, probably not people who actually know what they're talking about, which I assume will be a lot of people who are watching this video, is that every single one of these books has appeared on a YA list. Every single one. The books here are Lord of the Flies by William Golding, E Hinton's The Outsiders, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, Alice's Adventure in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, and The Books of Earthsea by Ursula. Though I will say the book that appeared was The Wizards of Earthsea, which is the first book in that series. Every single one of these books, except for Bell Jar, I believe, is on the Times 100 Best YA Fiction Books of all time. This didn't fit what I thought YA was. From the way I've seen YA described, this shocked me. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of adult readers of YA say they like reading YA because it's fun, because it's easy, because it's entertaining, because it's a bit light. I don't know what you think, but I do not think of Lord of the Flies as easy, light, and fun. That is not what I think at all. None of these books, I'd say, are easy, light, and fun. They are all heavy-hitting books that you wouldn't find in a YA section these days. And what the hell is that about? The theme that I could pull out most easily from looking at these, especially these three, and the one that I wish I could include that always comes up, which I don't own, is The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, is that these books deal with extremely serious issues discussing and exploring why the world can be so cruel. We have Lord of the Flies, which talks about the inherent violence of man. We have The Outsiders, which talks about gang warfare. We have To Kill a Mockingbird, which talks about inherent racism in our judicial system and society as a whole. Little Women, women trying to make their way in a heavily patriarchal society and struggling with that. Huckleberry Finn, racism again. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, you tell me, but potentially theoretical math, so, you know, that's an adult subject. Fellowship of the Ring, trying to overcome an overwhelming sense of darkness encompassing the world. The Bell Jar, mental health issues and the treatment of that, and these extremely severe and intense treatments of mental health issues. And The Wizard of Earthsea, I don't know, I haven't read it yet. But the theme there is, these are serious. These hit heavily. And so why was my definition so wrong? I started looking at a few videos, and one that I thought was really good was by Daniel Green. I'll link the video here. He did a video talking about YA fantasy, and he did this very deep dive into what YA was. And it was more tuned to YA fantasy, so I am trying to kind of apply it a bit broader, which might be incorrect. If so, that's my problem and my fault, not Daniel's. Basically saying that a lot of this came down to the success of Harry Potter. Not just Harry Potter, there were dozens of books around at the time, but this massive, overwhelming, unexpected success of a book due to a young reading audience. Publishers took note, and marketing people took note. And so they marketed this entire genre for young people. The thing that's different is that, you know, obviously most of these books are older than Harry Potter. Most of them, I think all of them came out before 1990. But not a single one of them, when it came out, was published as YA. The genre of YA didn't really exist. The only one I could say, potentially, E Hinton, because she wrote it while she was in high school. But even then, not really. What made these books, the one that is the foremost example of this is Catcher in the Rye. What made these books so popular isn't that they were sold to teenagers, it's that teenagers bought them. And there's a very important difference there. It's not that they were marketed to kids, it's that teenagers said, I need to understand this. Because I just feel that there's this overwhelming, condescending nature to modern YA. Being a teenager is tough. Teenagers have to go through some of the most intense emotional interactions, through some of the most intensely emotional experiences in trying to understand the world they're inheriting, compared to pretty much any age group. And they have to deal with extremely serious issues, because they're people. And that's what these books reflect. This is young people wanting to understand, desperately reaching out for an explanation as to why the world is in the state it is in. It's not about easy, light, and fun. That's not what they care about. And that's the stunning irony, is that most of the people who I know who read YA are adults. Because adults enjoy escapism because they understand how shit the world is. Because they've gotten that part. They've worked it out. Teenagers are still trying to work it out. And so a lot of teenagers aren't looking for that. The problem is we've now enforced this border. And this is why I put on the thumbnail of this video. Why are we age-gating books? A teenager will walk in, and to find any of these books, some of the best examples of YA fiction ever written, they cannot go to the YA section. Most YA readers on BookTube are very well-read people who know a lot about books, so they know that they don't go to the YA section. A lot of the books they'll get from somewhere else. They might not even be able to find them at a bookstore, because they got the knowledge. Most teenagers don't, and that's the only difference. And past that, I hope that isn't too condescending. A lot of teenagers haven't read nearly as much as adults, and so they are trusting a YA section. They are walking up to a section that says, young adults, this age range. And they go, I'm that age range, these books must be for me. And they are being kept from some of the best books ever written for them. What the hell? I feel it's wrong, and I feel it's lessening the potential of this generation of readers by trying to profit off of them. Because these books sell. They sell well. Obviously they're entertaining and enjoyable. But that's all that matters. They are sold as YA because young adults will read them and buy them because they are appealing and they are entertaining. But young adults are also being artificially kept from literature that they will enjoy and will love, as we can see from all of these books that have only succeeded in the past because young adults did engage with them so effectively. And that's my problem with YA. It's not the books are great. Everyone who wants to read the books that are currently classed as YA should. But the solution to fix this is to make YA such a broad genre that it's meaningless. So we should just get rid of it. You know, okay, if you're under 8 years old, sure, maybe you shouldn't be reading Stephen King. But apart from that, go by your own judgment. I feel like teenagers should have the freedom to. I feel like teenagers are capable of it. And us condescending to them is not helping them. It's babysitting, and they don't need it. They don't. I do, though, want to say a few things that are some really brilliant advancements in the genre. One, looking at this, there is some female representation, but not a ton. The good thing about modern YA is it really is doing a better job, if not a perfect job, of representing a wider range of audiences and young women who are not as well represented in these books. I will say, though, it kind of goes the other way a bit because these books are trying to keep teenagers from really analysing serious issues. The generation that has been the most exposed to different sexualities and different genders growing up in school, because the people around them, there is less taboo against people expressing themselves how they want in those areas, are given books which are, I'd say, far more heteronormative and have quite heavier gender roles, especially because a lot are set in kind of feudal times, because they feel that teenagers, for some reason, can't handle discussions on gender or sexuality when they probably have more experience and more knowledge in those areas than any adult, especially any older adult who lived in such a in such a heteronormative time. So it can go both ways. So, you know, it's good because there is more representation and there is a YA book for everyone. It is a genre that accepts diverse representation, which is great, but in not having adult discussions or serious discussions about gender and sexuality can go the other way and enforce stereotypes. So it's a tricky thing, but I do think the genre has progressed from looking here, where it's mostly young straight men with a few straight women, and that's pretty much it, and generally white as well. There's been an increase in diversity, which is a brilliant thing, and an increase in representation, and everybody should be able to have a book and look to a character and identify with them. And that's a great thing. And this is why I can't talk poorly on the books in this genre, because they are important and they do real good for this world. I do believe that. I just feel like there is the one sticking point that they do age gate books, and that's just not okay. So, to wrap this off, I don't like YA as a genre, not because of the books within YA. YA books are good books. The genre of YA propagates this idea that teenagers can only like a very specific type of book, and that they can only like very specific type of things, and that they are too young to try to actually analyze the problems in the world, which is wrong, and is a bad thing that we are doing to this generation. And I guess that's where I leave off. Thank you so much for watching. If my take was completely rubbish and you're like, no, this guy's just wrong, please leave it in the comments, because I'm here to educate myself, I'm here to learn. And it's a process. I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to say the wrong thing, and I have not read an overwhelming amount of YA. This isn't my wheelhouse, and so please, if you're watching this video going, this guy's an idiot and has no idea what he's talking about, I want to hear from you. Please, if that's your reaction to this video, write a comment. I'm not going to respond angrily, I'm going to respond with thanks, because I do want to grow. So I'll try to leave off there. And my final message is, YA is a great genre, but it could be better. It should be better. It deserves to be better, because young readers are smart readers who are after the same ideas any adult is after, maybe just presented in a slightly different style. And so we should be far less strict in gatekeeping adult literature. And we should let kids explore, because that's how they learn. And we need a lot of really smart people to come up and save this world of ours. And keeping them from looking at the real issues in this world is not helping anyone. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.